fourth graders, and welcome back. I'm Mrs. Lamondo here to talk to you all about decimals. Yesterday, we learned how to convert a fraction to a decimal. Today, we're going to be going the other way and converting decimals to fractions. So let's see a fun little song to remind us about decimal place value before we start practicing this skill.
Visit numberrock.com for ad-free videos, lesson materials, and more.
If you split the number 1 into 10 parts, that's where the decimal place value start. The values are still 1, they're quite small, like 0.1, which is a decimal, y'all. This number as a fraction is 1 over 10, and 0.1 is its decimal equivalent. Fractions over 10, 100, 1000, and on are all decimal numbers, it's a phenomenon. Decimals are fractions, just with different names. They each have a value that's exactly the same. Whole numbers to the left, decimals to the right. They get smaller and smaller till they're barely inside. Like whole numbers can get big, decimals can get small. If you know place value, you can imagine them all. On a place value chart, you'll see a pattern starts. If you split 1/10 into 10 equal parts, this new value is 100th, and in every case 100 hundredths equals 1 whole in the ones place. And if you split just 100th into 10 parts, that's the next place on the place value chart. This value is 1,000th of the number 1. Like every decimal, it's a special fraction. When any denominator is a power of 10, that fraction can be written as its decimal equivalent. Whole numbers to the left, decimals to the right. They get smaller and smaller till they're barely inside. Like whole numbers can get big, decimals can get small. If you know place value, you can imagine them all.
We've got the tenths, the hundreds, the thousands, and more. Let's imagine a number line to further explore. You see, there's a special line between 0 and 1, where you'll find decimal numbers in every fraction. Between 0 and 1, make 10 intervals. These are tenths written as fractions or decimals. When counting by tenths, after you get to 9, the 10th makes 1 whole on the number line. Let's see what happens as the place value decreases, and 1/10 is divided into 10 equal pieces. We get 100th written as 0.01, and 10 of these make a 10th, but we're not done. Split 100th into 10 parts, and we'll get 1,000, the smallest value we've seen yet. 10 thousandths makes 100th, 100 makes 1/10, 1,000 thousandths makes 1 whole. Isn't it brilliant?
Whole numbers to the left, decimals to the right. They get smaller and smaller till they're barely inside. Like whole numbers can get big, decimals can get small. If you know place value, you can imagine them all.
Knowing place value when changing decimals into fractions or fractions into decimals, like what we did last time, is super important. So let's take a look. So remember, when we have a fraction, it says 4/10. With all the ones we're going to do today, there's always going to be a 0 and then a decimal point. And then if it's 4 or any number out of 10, you just have the single number. If it's out of 100, you need 2 digits. This seems complicated, but I promise it's not. Let's practice. I'm just going to get my board set up so we are ready to go. All right, let's check out our practice. Okay. Here's our first one. Convert 4/10 into a fraction. So If we have 4/10, say the number. It's 4. What's going to go underneath it? What do you hear? 4/10. You hear 10. So it would be 4 out of 10. Let's look at our next one. Our next one says 82 hundredths. It's important that you can read these. 82 hundredths. So we would write the number. We see 82. And then what place value does it go to? Hundredths. What word do you hear in there? It's going to be out of 100. All of our decimal fractions are going to be out of 10 or 100. Let's look at number 3, 2/10. I see the number 2. What number do you hear when I say that decimal? 2/10. We hear the word 10 in there. So there's going to be a 10 underneath. Let's go on to 4, 5, and 6 and try these out. So we have, for number 4, 27 hundredths. For number 5, we have 37 hundredths. And for number 6, we have 8/10. So let's pause here and see if we can write these 3 decimals as a fraction. So for number 4, we have 27 hundredths. For number 5, we have 37 hundredths. And for number 6, we have 8/10. Great job. Let's take a look at number 7, number 8, and number 9. Number 7 says 67 hundredths. Number 8 says 3/10. And number 9 says 11 hundredths. Let's pause here and see if we can write these 3 decimals as a fraction. So for number 7, we said we had 67 hundredths. For number 8, we have 3/10. And for number 9, we have 11/10. Great job. Let's look at number 10, 11, and 12. For number 10, we have 7/10. For number 11, we have 98 hundredths. For number 12, we have 91 hundredths. Let's pause here and see if we can write these 3 as a fraction. So for number 10 rather, we have 7/10. For number 11, we have 98 hundredths. And for number 12, we have 91 hundredths. Excellent job. All right, let's do a few more. Let's look at 13, 14, and 15. So for number 13, we have 26 hundredths. For number 14, we have 1/10. For number 15, we have 96 hundredths. Let's pause here and see if we can write these as a fraction. So for number 13, we had 26 hundredths. For number 14, we had 1/10. And for number 15, we had 96 hundredths. Great job. Let's go on to our last 3. Our last 3, number 16, we have 13 hundredths. For number 17, we have 6/10. And for number 18, we have 21 hundredths. Let's pause here and see if we can turn these decimals into fractions. For number 16, we should have 13 hundredths. For number 17, we should have 6 tenths. And for number 18, we should have 21 hundredths. Turning decimals into fractions is really easy if you know your place value and how to read them. Today, we have a Google form we're going to complete. Here it is. It's decimals less than 2. You're going to write your name. Again, we have decimals, and you're going to pick the best fraction. It may be easiest for you to write these out first and then choose the best. So our first one, what is 4 tenths as a fraction? Next one, what is 82 hundredths as a fraction? Next one, what is 2 tenths as a fraction? Next one, what is 27 hundredths as a fraction? Next one, what is 37 hundredths as a fraction? And our last one, what is 8 tenths as a fraction? As always, if you need any help, feel free to check in with your teacher. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Bye.